I got boats behind me. Look at that. Hey everyone, it's Joe Waxman. I'm the mediocre astrologer. He's okay. In this video, I want to talk about Algol, the fixed star Algol, which is the most malefic star in the sky that people are very afraid of. But I have it in my personal chart, so it's not always that bad, but it is interesting. And um, guys, before I begin, just hit that like button if you can. Subscribe if you haven't already. Book a reading with me, macrogoldmachine@yahoo.com, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. So in a moment, I'm just going to share my screen because there's really not a lot that I can say that will not be better if, if I read it because it's just very complicated and I'm not going to, I know some things off the top of my head, but I'm gonna read some stuff. It'll be better. So let's get right into it. Not gonna waste any time. All right. So here we go. It's in the constellation Perseus. Here's Algol. Um, so scariest star in the sky. I'm not gonna read everything. Um, Gorgon Medusa. I'm gonna read more in a different one, but this is the main thing I wanted to show you guys. This is the kind of one of the main things about Algol is that it's a binary star. One star is obviously bigger than the other, and here you see that there's two dips. One is when the secondary star is conjunct the primary star behind it, and we see there's a dip in light, and then there's a second dip when it's eclipsing it, when the smaller star eclipses the bigger dip. And this gives the sort of dual nature of Algol, where where there's that conjunction where it becomes uh, theoretically more malefic, right? We'd have to track it, and I don't know in my own chart or various charts where whether it's bright or dark. Bright when the two are separate, dark when the two are together, one being darker than the other, right? So anyway, I'm gonna go to the Astrology King and read about it here. Um, Sun joins Algol on May 16th. It's a 2.1 magnitude rare triple star. So it is actually a triple star, but the main thing is that it's a binary star. I know it's weird. But we can see kind of here like how it looks from a like telescope. Um, yeah, when it's joined, it's a little bit darker. Anyway. Um, it located in Medusa's head of the constellation, Perseus constellation. The name Algol comes from the Arabic word meaning head of the ogre. English translation became demon star, with other names being Satan's head or Spectre's head. Um, Algol appears to blink every 69 hours. Its magnitude dips for about 10 hours before returning to full brightness again. Um, Algol represents the head of Gorgon Medusa, who's slain by Perseus Medusa, who's the only mortal one of the three Gorgon sisters. Was originally a beautiful maiden, but her hair was changed into hissing serpents by Minerva, also Pallas Athena, also known as Pallas Athena, in consequence of her having become by Neptune. I think it means Neptune seduced her in Pallas Athena's temple, right? She was a beautiful maiden, and Neptune, the god Neptune, seduced her. So we know Neptune is kind of involved thematically with the ideas of Algol. I'll get to that later. Seduces this beautiful maiden, um, and then Minerva or Pallas Athena curses her, turns her into Medusa. This gave her so fearful an appearance that everyone who looked at her changed into stone. In astrology, Algol is one of the most unfortunate stars. Ptolemy referred to it as the Gorgon of Perseus and associated with death by decapitation, mirroring the myth of hero Perseus, victor over the snake Gorgon Medusa. Historically, it has received a strong association with violence across a wide variety of cultures. Medieval Arabic commanders tried to ensure that no important battle begin whilst the light of Algol was weak, right? So they were measuring the strength of the light, whether it was conjunct or not, and they said, it's unfortunate to have a battle when Algol was weak, where there was that conjunction of the binary stars. It may be connected to the periodic lucky prognosis in ancient Egyptian calendar for lucky and unlucky days composed about 3,200 years ago. 17th century English astrologer William Lilly regarded any planet to be afflicted within 5 degrees of conjunction. Astrologers, of course, said that it was the most unfortunate, violent, and dangerous star in the heavens, and it's certainly been one of the best observed as the most noteworthy variable in the northern sky. Guys, I'm still here. It's dispositing my sun and moon and Venus, so I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't always turn out bad, but sometimes it does, and we'll get to that. I have a bunch of charts, 59 to be exact, that we're going to look at. We're going to have to zip through them because otherwise it's just going to take forever. But I wanted to include as much evidence as possible to paint a full, complete picture of Algol. Fixed star Algol is the nature of Saturn and Jupiter, dignified, pious, conservative, acquisitive, retentive. It causes misfortune, violence, decapitation, hanging, electrocution, and mob violence, and it gives a dogged and violent nature that causes death to native or others. It is the most evil star in the heavens. Ooh, scary. Um, it's good if you have it in your chart because then you can sort of not be fear-mongered into believing into this stuff, although sometimes it does appear to be true, which is interesting. And that could be based on where the brightness of Algol when you're born. But we'll look at that. I mean, we actually won't look at that because I don't know. I don't have a chart. I don't think they have a chart for like who was born during what phase, but like we can just kind of guess maybe. That's one theory anyway. Um, the spectral, I don't know if this is very relevant. The eclipsing star is dark and has no color assigned to it. Algol, anciently thought to be a demon star, has two well-defined natures. One is high in spiritual values. Yeah, I think that's correct. The duality of Algol, being that it's a binary star and it has two distinct phases. I mean, more than two, but two basic ones. And the other is on a primitive side, evidenced by extreme misfortune. The darker side of Algol is similar to spectral S star, while the brighter star is spectral B. I don't know, indicating helium, blah, 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 scientific jargon. Darker star circles and brighter star every 68 hours, presenting a periodic change in brightness as viewed from Earth. Since an ephemeris is not possible or available, the influences are listed as either positive or negative. So since an ephemeris is not possible or available, we don't know. I guess I don't know why. I don't know why they can't figure it out. It seems like they should be, but they can't. Um, with the darker side for the negative influence and the brighter side for the positive influences. Some nativities can have both negative and positive influences. The brighter side, as with spectral classes, the native is sober, serious, patient, talkative, and has high preferment, honors, and success in their careers. Native dislikes sordid actions, is faithful, not bigoted. The darker side, the native is bigoted, violent, or non-violent, deals with the masses, possibly tends to be secretive, subject to violence, either to or by the native, force changes, a propagandist, one with extreme mental powers, extreme physical powers, for good or bad, mass vandalism, fanaticism, tragedies, ruthlessness. It is one of the 15 Bahamian fixed stars. Its image is the head cut off of the body and neck. It gives success to petitions, makes the wearer bold and magnanimous, preserves the body, protects them against witchcraft, and turns evil and spells back on those who work them. You know, I'm never afraid. It's not like I'm just not afraid of a lot of stuff. Um, I'm not afraid of witchcraft. Like I don't protect my chart like some astrologers are like, oh no, we can't show the chart. But I mean, my whole job is looking at charts. If everyone had that attitude, I would be out of a job, right? So anyway, rules diamond, black, hellebore, and mugwort. I like mugwort. Algol is the head of Gorgon Medusa. The name is derived from Arabic Algol, which meaning demon, evil spirit, or devil, derived from the same root as alcohol. And I think that's pivotal in understanding Algol. We'll get to that. The dark one has the property of a pure Saturn character. The lighter one corresponds not only to Saturnian influence, but also to Mars, Uranus, Pluto nature. If the dark fellow is, I mean, it's kind of like lumping out all the planets in there, but anyway. If the dark fellow is showing towards Earth's path, the destructive, invisible action is exercised. Those will be the hours in which Algol is least bright. In the olden times, people were well aware Arabic commanders in chief in times of conquest made it a point that no important battles were begun when the light of Algol was weak. It'd be nice to have a calculator or a way of determining whether Algol was bright or weak and see what lines up with that. But I don't know how to do that. Despite the appreciable distance from the ecliptic, this double star's influence is strongly felt, and in more cases, it is disastrous. More cases, I don't know. We'll look at that. Primitive natives will be of the base mind inclined to brutality and violence, especially when Algol is found together with Mars or Saturn. Avoiding accidents and severe injuries is difficult if Algol is conjunct the Sun, Moon, or Malefics. Not really. No, we'll see. As everything has two sides, it is said to be. It is it it has to be said that high spiritual rays are emanating from Algol also. That I believe, but only those human beings who can receive them who have already reached high spiritual development. Even then, it must be noted that those particular persons will have difficulties and obstacles in their way, and they must use much energy to overcome these handicaps. If their endeavors fail, strong counter forces and enmities will be present. Like, guys, I'm speaking to you from Algol because Algol is my Mercury. My Mercury is conjunct Algol, so it's like my expression is Algol. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I have all these qualities. Some maybe, I don't know. Fixed star Algol has the nature of Jupiter. See, they're just like it's like all the planets. It's Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, Mars. Right? It's kind of broad there, but it has a long tradition as a troublemaker. It is said to be one of the most unfortunate, violent, and dangerous stars in the heavens. This is explained by the fact that Jupiter takes on all of its most perverse meanings, too much heat, as it were, resulting in extremist action that undo all the beneficial qualities of this planet. Algol, alias Caput Medusa, is the demon herself. Indeed, she is, without doubt, counted the most malefic of all stars in astrology, even though Ptolemy gives her the less obvious, ominous Saturn-Jupiter styling. Medusa's head, the meaning of the Latin title, is being held in Perseus's hand, which she is a star B in his constellation. What seems to be missed by the old school is that Capulus and Algol each have a very positive side to them. They do. The sword removed a monstrosity from our world, and the monstrosity's head did, in turn, rescue Andromeda, and by the same token, all of us, from yet another monster of great evil. True that Algol comes from an old Arabic word meaning particularly nasty spirit. However, as we have noted, we all too easily look back and within ourselves only to be halted at our traumas and nasty bits, failing to penetrate further to the glory beyond them. Lilith is not Medusa at all, not the ugly blockage in us, but the beauty beyond it. Once we pass the ghoul in Algol, we find a pure spirit in that word, just as its modern derivative. Alcohol, which does so much damage if used irresponsibly, is also the background material of the universe. So alcohol is the background material of the universe? I don't know. Without which nothing else exists. Okay. Spirit, maybe, is what he's referring to. How Capus, and more especially Algol stars signify on horoscopes, depend entirely on how the person concerned does or does not live with an honest sense of purpose to it, a desire at least to try and live up to some philosophy, religion, or ideal. If that is present in the person, question, or event for which the chart is drawn, then all will go well. The author has seen this happen so often once the superstition about these stars is dropped, if purpose and intent are shady, then we don't need the stars to tell us things are likely with good reason to go wrong. Yes, we know that Algol often does show up in disastrous accidents with death as their climax, but we must remember that our too common state of disbelief in life, the one event in life beyond the one event since birth, that is the lot of all of us. We fear because we do not believe. Okay, this just seems like kind of philosophical meandering. With Algol poorly aspect in our charts, we may well repeat the popular but obscene, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. All right. Many a fine counselor and healer has Algol thus placed. That's true. All right. Tauri, Halcyon Tauri, and the whole Pleiades group are noted in astrology for their association with deep sorrows and tragedies, bereavements showing strongly with this star. Its position by longitude soon after Algol and Perseus may account for the gloomy quality, since Algol is much connotated with a violent death in mundane astrology, and that, of course, means bereavement for someone else. As a practicing astrological consultant, however, the present author has found that one or both of these stars prominent, even though afflicted on one's horoscope, makes for an excellent counselor to others in the time of bereavement, with a special gift for bringing out the brighter spiritual significance of death as a transition to greater life. And this so often very often relieves the counselor, him or herself, from the misery that others so commonly suffer in that area of life. I would say that's probably true for me and others that I know who have this the star prominent. Fixed star algo rules 1/4 inch up the base of the neck in the human body. Um, I found that strong algol placement in the natal chart correspond to a very distinct facial features and hair. Not for me, it doesn't. I mean, that's obvious. Anyway, he says there may be a striking beard or glorious long hair. The teeth, nose, ears may also be striking in some way. Are they extremely beautiful, large, or deformed? I'm gonna opt for the beauty part for me, not the hair, but the beauty. Why not? Because I don't think I'm anything's extremely large or deformed. So just taking my choice there. All right. Perseus constellation gives an intelligent, strong, bold, and adventurous nature, but a tendency to lying. That's not true. I don't lie. All right. Constellation, blah blah blah. Okay. I want to speed this up because um it's I don't want to take too. This is all about the different conjunctions. I'm not going to read each one because it's like I think we get a better idea if we look at the charts. But here, Angel Storm. From the mythology of Medusa, we can see her as a mutant. A mutation is the driver of genetic evolution. It's no surprise to see Algol star prominent in the history of the Human Genome Project. That's interesting. And here he goes on to like list the different dates. I mean, you can look up this stuff yourself. I'm not going to bore you with it, but so yeah. Let's look at Wikipedia. This is just more I don't know. You can look at that if you want. I'm not. I'm gonna read a little bit about Medusa, just because I don't think mythology is everything in astrology, but it certainly gives you hints. And sometimes people take it too literally, like they think like a planet is just the mythology. I don't think that at all. That's another video, but like I think we need to take mythology and planets and stars lightly, but we can relate them just lightly, very lightly. And sometimes not at all. But anyway, in Greek mythology called Medusa, Gorgon was one of the three Gorgons. Medusa is generally described as a woman with living snakes placed in her hair. Her appearance was so hideous that anyone who looked upon her was turned to stone. Medusa and her Gorgon sisters were usually described as daughters. Blah, blah, blah. The three, only Medusa was mortal. Medusa was beheaded by the Greek hero Perseus, who then used her head, which retained its ability to turn onlookers to stone as a weapon, until he gave it to the goddess Athena to place in her shield. Um, the head of Medusa appeared evil averting device known as the Gorgonium. So it repels evil. According to Hesiod and Aeschylus, she lived and died in Sarpedon, somewhere near Sistine, the 2nd century. Puts her somewhere in Libya, where Herodotus said the Berbers originated her myth as part of their religion. So the three Gorgons, described by Hesiod and Apollodorus, as offspring of the sea goddess Porphis and sister Ceto, according to parents were Gorgon and Ceto. All right. Near them, their sisters three, the Gorgons winged with snakes for hair, hatred of mortal man. Okay, they don't like men. Um, they got a thing against men. Not really, not really. They're feminists. Okay, all right. Fair cheek Medusa. So she was beauty. She was a beauty. She was beautiful, right? And that's her other side. Beauty. Turn men to stone. And that's kind of like what is turn men to stone? Yeah, like literally like turning them to stone, but like draining them of life, making them hard in a sense, seducing them, making them hard. That has its own sexual connotation, but it also draining all life from them, right? Is the other way that I see that being seduced. Right. It's um the interpretation that I give to like what if men look at her directly in the face, she's a seductress. She's beautiful, but the snakes represent something malefic that's underneath her beauty that can turn men to stone. In the late version of Medusa myth by the Roman poet Ovid, Medusa was originally a beautiful maiden, but when Neptune, well, also known as Poseidon, mated with her in Minerva's temple, Pallas Athena, Minerva punished Medusa by transforming her beautiful hair into horrible snakes. Although no earlier versions mention this, ancient depictions of Medusa as a beautiful maiden instead of a horrid monster predate Ovid. In classical Greek art, the depiction of Medusa shifted from the hideous beast to an attractive young woman. So that's kind of like the dual nature of the stars, right? Hideous beast when they're conjunct, beautiful woman when they're separate. Both aggressor and victim, a tragic figure in her death. The earliest who drew Medusa as a comely woman sleeping peacefully as Perseus beheads her. As the act of killing a beautiful maiden in her sleep is rather unheroic, it is not clear whether those vases are meant to elicit sympathy for Medusa's fate or to mock the traditional hero. In most versions of the story, she was beheaded by the hero Perseus, who sent to fetch her head by King Pharos of Seriphus. I don't want to say these names. I just why? All right, because Paulina wanted to marry Perseus's mother. The gods were well aware of this, and Perseus received help. He received a mirrored shield from Athena. So Athena gave him the shield, which he could look at. He didn't have to look at her directly. He could look at the shield and see her reflection. Sandals with gold wings from Hermes, a sword from Hephaestus. I heard it was a sword from Hermes. But okay, here it's saying a sword from Hephaestus. Who's Hephaestus? It's the Greek god of artisans. Okay. So I heard it was the sword of discernment from Hermes, which Hermes is Mercury, the intellect, right? So that makes sense, like having the sword of discernment, which a sword divides things, and that's what being able to make choices and decide and pick this, not that, is all about. And Hades' helm of invisibility. Oh, interesting. Since Medusa was the only one of the three Gorgons who was mortal, Perseus was able to slay her. He did so while looking at the reflection of the mirror shield he received from Athena. During that time, Medusa was pregnant by Poseidon. Interesting. When Perseus beheaded her Pegasus, the winged horse, and Chrysaor, Chrysaor was the brother of the winged horse Pegasus. All right. A giant wielding a golden sword sprang from her body. So Pegasus, a winged horse, and a giant wielding a gold sword. Interesting. I don't know what that means. Um, this person argues that her potency only begins when her head is severed, and that her potency resides in the head. She is, in a word, a mask with a body later appended. The basis of the Gorgonian is a cultist object, a ritual mask misunderstood. All right. Jane Ellen Harrison, that's her name. Homer mentions the Gorgon Medusa. Lest for my daring Persephone, the dread from Hades should send up an awful monster's grisly head. Okay. All right. Um, all right, so it just keeps going on, and I don't really need to read more of that. There's more of the mythology. Let's just get into the charts because I think that's the most interesting part. I have 59 charts, so let's not waste any time. All right, Muhammad Ali had a very prominent Algol conjunct Uranus. We could tie Uranus to his seventh house, and his competitors, and his careers. Fast moving, right? Taurus is very earthy. So anyway, it's something that's very sudden. But part of his career. Yeah, make of that what you will. I'm not going to belabor any of these charts too much, especially when it's like I just wanted to show like, okay, if it's Uranus conjunct that, the Algol, like fine, let's just show it. Okay, Woody Allen, MC conjunct Algol. Um, I mean, yeah, creativity, perhaps. But certainly not like, well, I don't know, like you decide, right? Like we know about Woody Allen and stuff he did, and but it's not really Medusa-esque, is it? You know, I don't think so. But anyway, um, curious, interesting. Some make a lot more sense than others. Here we have Marshall Applewhite, and he was the cult leader of Heaven's Gate cult, and I think they committed suicide. But he's got his sun exactly conjunct Algol, and so and his moon is pretty close by, although in Jupiter's bounds. Interestingly enough, Algol is in Saturn's bounds of Taurus. Um, but yeah, this is so second whole sign house, so I don't, adds a lot of confidence, right, and self-worth, self-esteem. And we could dive deeper into each one of these. We could look at Venus's placement. Yeah, not very well placed, right? You could look at Saturn because it's in Saturn's bounds, right? Saturn in the MC or in the 10th house in its own bounds in Capricorn, so very Saturnian. Um, leaders, heads, right? Heads, cutting off the head of Medusa, heads, leaders, often with Algol, for better or worse, for better and worse. David Beckham, Mercury and Ascendant conjunct Algol. And I mean, he's very popular. I don't really follow soccer or football, Bend It Like Beckham. That's all I really know. And Victoria Beckham, right? Spice Girls. What else? I mean, a leader, right? Mr. Bieber. I don't know why that's funny, but it is. Algol, South Node, right? North Node Pluto, South Node Algol. Like, dude's got some dark energy. Like, he's seriously dark in many ways. So, I mean, I no doubt that he's got some stories, some secrets, some hidden things, some scary things, some, like involvement with all the, occult Illuminati stuff for sure. Michael Bloomberg, very rich man, invented the what is it, Bloomberg terminal, something like that. Also has his Uranus conjunct Algol, which is really interesting because he's the inventor of a technology, right? It's 11th house. Well, 11th house does deal with things of that nature, internet technology, right? Aquarian type stuff. Saturn's there. So Uranus, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, right? Plus Saturn, of course. And his ascendant is in Saturn's bounds, so that it seems relevant. Uranus is dispositing a whole bunch of Aquarian planets in the eighth whole sign house, seventh quadrant. So seems to add up. The creative aspect of Uranus conjunct Algol. Algol being when it's functioning well, very creative, and then Uranus being very inventive and tech oriented. George Braque, famous artist, cubist, originator, one of the originators of cubism, painter, right? So, and then, yeah, he has, that's actually his son. It's being pushed away. It makes it look like it's 22. It's actually 24, conjunct Algol. And just for the record, Algol, all the fixed stars will move depending on the year because they don't stay they shift slightly. I count it's like every 72 years, 1 degree or something like that. But it's gonna shift. So that's why I have it marked here, right? But Sun conjunct Algol, it's no, okay. I'm sorry, I misread. So yeah, Algol's at 24 and his Sun's at 22. So 2 degrees apart with Chiron. But anyway, highly creative, right? Sixth house, daily work, daily um daily grind. Also, I don't know. interesting, like the cubist. I wonder where that's maybe probably a combination of sixth house and Gemini. Anyway, a lot of artists, musicians, and creative types have planets conjunct Algol. Right. Robert the Bruce, King of Scotland. So Algol was way down here when he became king, but it's in Jupiter's bounds. So it's probably a better Algol because it was in Jupiter's bounds, but it's conjunct his ascendant. A leader, ahead, right? The positive, but he was also a warrior, right? So he fought. So yeah. Eric Burdon, lead singer of the Animals, I believe. Um, look, how many planets? Jupiter, Uranus, Venus, Mercury, conjunct Algol, Sun not too far away, Saturn not too far away. But these are really tight. And legendary singer, right? Also, I believe he had substance abuse issues, which Algol is well known for. And that is we can relate that to the seductive quality of Medusa, seducing with, I mean, it could be like, being seduced by women, but it could also be being seduced by alcohol, Poseidon, right? Neptune. Neptune is involved with Medusa. Neptune, apparently she was pregnant with Neptune's child when she was beheaded by Perseus, right? Um, so there's elements of, the being seduced by, like, seduction. She was seduced by Poseidon, Neptune, right? And then people who have planets there may be seduced by various substances, drugs, alcohol, and then become very aggressive. I've heard of this. I've heard of, like, throughout the years, I've heard of anecdotal stories of, like, oh, so and so has, sun or whatever planet conjunct Algol, and they are a holy terror. They do drugs. They are violent, nasty, mean, all the bad things, right? And then other times it's very different. They become very creative or leaders in their field. Okay, so Tucker Carlson has his sun conjunct Algol in the 11th house. Make of that what you will, right? Some people love him, some people don't, but he's well known, he's successful, he's famous, and I don't think it's that negative with him. Like I have my issues and complaints about Tucker Carlson, right? But I don't think this is playing out in a negative way with him. I think it's obviously more positive expression. I think he means well, even if he's not always correct. Edgar Casey, right? We'll see a lot of this. Okay, so his Pluto, 2 degrees from Algol, but it's in his 10th house, pretty close to his MC. So, I don't know. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Maybe, adding a sort of a cultic element to a deeply powerful watery kind of planet, Pluto, right? So there could be some psychic interaction there for the sleeping prophet. That's what they call him. Hillary Clinton. Oh, wow. This kind of makes sense. North Node, 2 degrees from Algol, but in the bounds of Algol, in the bounds of Saturn, in the 12th house. So like secrets, like secret violent, like suiciding people and all that. What Hillary Clinton does, she kills people. I mean, that's like her job. I mean, she's just like a professional murderer, masquerading as a politician. Salvador Dali, Mars and Mercury both conjunct Algol, and there we have the very highly creative expression again with Algol, right? I don't think he was like very violent or destructive. I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems that way. I mean, just have to notice this Venus in Venus's Venus and Taurus and Venus's bounds, right? For the beauty, and then just all these beautiful Taurian planets for the artist. Yeah. Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro. He's a good actor. He's not a very likable guy. Let's put it that way. He's horrible. In fact, he's a great actor, a horrible person. But anyway, I'm not the only one who says that. There's other actors who won't work with him. But anyway, he's got Mars conjunct Algol. So like, yeah, what does he do? What kind of movies does he play? Like bad guy, like, killer mafioso, right? He's good at that, right? He's got his Mars and conjunct Algol, right? It's very obvious. Um, he's the Algol in the movie guy. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, Mercury and Venus conjunct Algol. So yeah, like a lot of creativity, beauty can come from that. I know, like, girls fawn over Johnny Depp. That's probably mostly with this Venus, but also smooth talking, right? Venus, Mercury. Um, so yeah, Venus adding dignity to um Mercury. Diana, Princess of Wales. Now we're getting like um okay, some real significations for Algol that actually add up. Venus in Taurus conjunct Algol, right? So like we might think this Venus is in really good dignity, it's in Taurus, it's in domicile, but it's in Saturn's balance, it's conjunct Algol, right? And that's dangerous. We know she died, and it's in the sixth whole sign house, as well as ruling the MC in Venus's balance. So her career, right? Her public image, her public. So anyway, I'm not going to go too deep into like all the death signatures in her chart, right? Mars conjunct Pluto, Mercury, all that, eighth whole sign house stuff. But anyway, that's dangerous. That does not feel good. And she died a violent death. Robert Downey Jr. Um, Yeah, Jupiter. Jupiter conjunct Algol in the 10th house. I mean, seems good, right? Moon's exalted and Jupiter's bound in Taurus. Um, he did have trouble though. He did have troubles dispositing the eighth. It is the eighth lord and the fifth lord, but the eighth lord. And yeah, he did have some trouble. He went to jail and did suffer some negativity. Maybe it's related to this Jupiter. I don't know. Bob Dylan probably is related to that Jupiter. Um, Uranus, Moon not too far away, but Uranus really conjunct Algol. So like this high level of creativity, inventiveness. I mean, Bob Dylan was a musical revolutionary, right? He was a music he was a trailblazer, right? And that's very much having to do with Uranus conjunct Algol, giving it prominence, really empowering that Uranus to blaze a new path into the future of music at that time. Clint Eastwood. Mercury, stationary, first of all, excellent, but closely conjunct Algol, right? Not super duper close, but mine's closer. But anyway, I mean, for playing a bad guy in movies, a good bad guy, right? A bad good guy, good bad guy, whatever, right? Violence, shoot him up, bang bang, makes sense, you know. It's the eighth lord and the 11th lord, especially the eighth lord, dispositing Sun and Jupiter, seventh house. But he's an old man. He didn't have any violence um enacted upon him. Maybe he was violent. I don't know. All right. Albert Einstein has Pluto conjunct Algol, exact, right? And that's really powerful. It's in the 11th house of abstraction, abstract ideology, of groups, networks, Pluto for the power of discovery. His theories led to the development of the atomic bomb, right? So this is a super powered Pluto. Pluto is connecting with Algol, gaining like tremendous, there's resonance there. Pluto, Medusa's head, Hades, it feels very resonant. Brian Eno was one of the musicians in Roxy Music. I think he played the synth, probably wrote some stuff. I don't know. But anyway, um, famous musician, Sun conjunct Algol in the second house. Right? Beauty, aesthetics, and North Node. I don't know if he sang at all, but you know, a lot of musicians, a lot of artists. Carrie Fisher, um, also known as Princess Leia. Moon conjunct Algol. And I really don't know how it relates to Carrie Fisher, except that it does. And that It's conjunct her moon. And mm, didn't she die of something? She died, but wasn't it of some ruling the sixth house? Well, sixth quadrant, seventh house. Anyway, um, yeah, leader, powerful, right? Princess Leia, like, there's some power there that it's giving it to. I don't think it's really negatively influencing her, but helping her creativity. Um, it's the fifth whole sign house, fourth quadrant. So definitely relating to entertainment and ability to play powerful roles, especially feminine roles, female roles. She's a female. What else she been playing? Never mind that. Let's scratch that one from the record. Um, no, it applies, I think. Sorry. All right, Megan Fox. This Mars in Capricorn and in Venus's bounds really shows up on her face really strongly, just as a side. But Sun conjunct Algol. Also in the same position as Carrie Fisher, basically, fifth whole sign house, fourth quadrant, right? So yeah, very powerful roles. But I guess what's interesting, like if we just compare it to Carrie Fisher, Carrie Fisher's roles were specifically about her being this very powerful woman, right? Princess Leia. Um, Megan Fox's roles are yeah, obviously playing to her looks and whatnot, but not specifically about her being this really powerful woman, right? Not in the same way. It's the sun. It's just her as a being who's whatever. Anyway, I think there's something there, but I'm not fleshing any of these out like really deeply, as you can tell. I'm being very Geminian in my approach, but it's okay because we're just going for numbers here. We're going for examples. And you can probably make sense out of these, some of you better than me because you know who these people are. You probably know their life stories better than I do, right? But Saturn conjunct Algol, Aretha Franklin in the seventh house. So definitely difficulties around relationships, right? And partners. And she did have that. I think I know that. Right. And it is a night chart. Saturn's the most difficult planet. So that's a real indicator of possible abuse, right? In relationships, definitely difficult relationships. And that tracks, that applies. John Wayne Gacy. Now this one fits. This one fits. Saturn conjunct Algol in a night chart in the seventh house. Actually, it's in the sixth whole sign house, but yeah, so six. So conflict plus Uranus, right? So that's dangerous. That's difficulty, right? It's like yeah, Saturn's in Saturn's bounds, but it's conjunct Algol and Uranus, so it's very unstable, especially with Uranus. And the sixth house is just too conflictual, night chart and all that, right? Not very good. Yeah. Che Guevara, definitely violent, definitely not a hero, right? Uranus rising, Sun conjunct Algol by 2 degrees, so not super tight, but still there. Very powerful leader, but also a violent leader. Like he killed people. Um, some of the people he killed were gay people just because they're gay, but also political dissidents and yeah, not nobody to admire. Somebody to study, not admire. Like these young idiots with their Che Guevara t-shirts. Kamala Harris. Um, Jupiter conjunct Algol by 1 degree. In the 12th house. Um, so yeah, some secret stuff going on there. Foreign partnerships, foreign wheeling and dealing, foreign business. Definitely a lot of secrets. Deals with the devil, perhaps. Seventh Lord. Also MC Lord. A lot of politicians have 12th house stuff because it's all back room shaking, handshaking, and dealing and wheeling, and that's all like 12th house stuff. It's like secrets, like okay, you can be president, you can be governor, you can be this, all that. Just we're just gonna make all these arrangements, and we'll make it look all natural and organic. The shit show. Mick Jagger. Um, let's see, Moon, 2 degrees from Algol, 12th house. I mean, very creative again, right? Um, and there's probably other stuff, substance abuse, obviously. I mean, I don't know, obvious. I don't know Mick Jagger's life, but I mean, he's a rock star, and like Keith Richards is known for doing drugs. But so I'm just saying, like, relatively, there probably is that element as well, right? It's nuanced. Billy Joel, Venus conjunct Algol, Venus in domicile in Taurus, but in Saturn's bounds. 11th house, popularity, groups, networks, friends. Very creative, highly creative, Billy Joel. Tommy Lee Jones. Um, I really love, I like Tommy Lee Jones. I think he's a great actor. Um, but here he has it, the moon conjunct Algol by 1 degree in the 12th, but pretty close to the ascendant. But it's in the, but his ascendant is actually in Gemini. And, um, moon and Algol are in Taurus, obviously, 12th house. But great for movies, great for acting. Very, very creative here. Frida Kahlo. Now we know Frida Kahlo had a major accident, and so that applies. And we see, what do we see? Oh, yeah. MC conjunct Algol. So yeah. It kind of, yeah, I mean, very creatively powerful. But we could tie this to her accident as well. But I mean, of course, this very powerful Mars in the six-hole sign house opposite Sun in Cancer, where Mars is strong but harmful to Sun in this case. It's directly opposite. So yeah, and plus Uranus represents accidents and whatnot. And she was impaled by a metal bar. It's like, and it's not funny. I'm not laughing at that. I'm just kind of remarking. It's my expression. Sun is the ascendant lord. So this represents her physical body. So, right, this powerful Mars, is supposed to be in great dignity, attacks her Sun in Cancer, where it's malefic. But anyway, yeah, I'll go conjunct the MC. JFK, another one, died violently. Um, Jupiter conjunct Algol by 2 degrees, but it's in the 8th house. Jupiter ruling the 6th and the 3rd. Interesting. Travel, third, yeah, long Sag and 3rd house. So travel and then conflict, death. You know how that goes. Stephen King. This guy definitely deals with violence. Um, North Node exactly conjunct Algol. I mean, come on, right? Um, very, very tight aspect here in the 11th house. Career success, groups, networks, friends. Yeah, I mean, self-explanatory. Michio Kushi. So not everyone knows who Michio Kushi is. Michio Kushi is my father's teacher and one of the leaders of macrobiotics, Japanese man, brilliant man. In fact, he was a genius, absolute genius. But Sun conjunct Algol, tight as can be, right? And did not die a violent death. In fact, lived, not super long, but he's where it came out in Michio, because I know him personally. I actually lived at his house for a little while. Michio smoked his whole life and drank lots of coffee. He never drank alcohol or did drugs, but he definitely had his vices. So like Algol, prominent Algol, definitely brings up the kind of seduction of vices, whether it's smoking, alcohol, drugs, maybe women for some people, maybe violence for other people, maybe a combination of those things. Women, I know also he was easily seduced by women, but also very powerful leader, right? The head, highly creative and highly, highly intelligent, right? And psychic as well. He's got a grand water trine. He was very psychic and extremely intelligent. Wrote tons and tons of books, lectured, endlessly. Bruce Lee, um, definitely violence there. Led a violent life, but trained as well. So Uranus conjunct Algol in the 6th house. So the fighting house, the house of competition, creative and he was a trailblazer as far as his martial arts go, right? He developed his own martial arts style, and that very much speaks to Uranus conjunct Algol, right? Paving the way forward, trailblazing into the future with the power of Algol, like really strong creativity. Incidentally, he did die from drug combinations where he hurt himself from injury, and then the doctor gave him drugs to try and painkillers and whatnot. And I think the combination killed him. So there's something about that as well, right? Sixth house, Uranus, Algol, just like kind of he suddenly died. John Lennon shot, was shot and killed. Uranus conjunct Algol in the second house. So yeah, I mean, this is more like voice and aesthetics, but pushing the boundaries for in artistic aesthetic ways. But it's tightly conjunct, right? But yeah, musically that definitely applies and tracks the creativity, the voice, the expression. Not so much the expression, but the voice and the aesthetics and the beauty and the appearance. And yeah, it's trying Neptune, so adding a lot of creativity to it. Oh. Jay Leno. Uh, Jay Leno. Okay, first of all, Uranus trine Jupiter, Jupiter in the first, for comedy, right? Uranus in the fifth house, but Mercury conjunct Algol in the fourth. Um, yeah, fourth whole sign, third quadrant, right? Mercury. Um, Mercury's the eighth lord, and the, I mean, disposing the IC, but fourth whole sign house. So interesting. Just disposing Saturn, Moon, Mars. Um, yeah, I mean, it's adding to his creativity. I mean, he's obviously extremely successful. What I do find interesting is that his ascendant lord bound, his ascendant is in the Mars's bounds, and then Mars is in also in Mars's bounds in Virgo, and um, yeah, he collects cars. He likes cars. So Mars. Um, yeah, Mars is cars. Some people think it's Mercury. It's not. Mercury is like the physical motion or moving, like short distance travel, but it's not car. Anyway, Liberace, Mars and Sun conjunct Algol. Sun actually much tighter. Fifth house, entertainment. So again, the very creative power of Algol. Michael Moore. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Michael Moore. I think he's very talented, but you know, certainly I don't sense violence. But anyway, um, Venus conjunct Algol. Venus and Taurus conjunct Algol by 2 degrees. It's not super tight, but it is in the 10th house, so it's very much related to his career along with Sun, and it is um pointing to the very creative power once again of Algol. When Algol's behaving well, it seems to be a blessing, right? Really empowering creativity or leaders or heads of things. Nancy Pelosi. Um, oh, one thing about Michael Moore, the seduction, he's fat. I mean, I'm just being, so Venus, Taurus, Algol, seduced by food. He's seduced by food. Because I forgot about that. Because Nancy Pelosi has Mars conjunct Algol. So one that points to her in the sixth house, one that points to her very nasty temper. Number two, it points to her alcoholism. She's an alcoholic. Or at least she appears to be that way. I mean, she's like drunk a lot. But I think also Mars conjunct Algol is like fierce temper, nasty temper. And I think she has that as well. Katy Perry, Kitty Purry, North Node, 2 degrees from Algol, seventh house. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, something very creative, relationships. I don't know, something like that. But it's actually in Mars's, or North Node is in Mars's bound, so slightly removed from Algol. But make of that what you will. Russell Brand comes to mind, but I don't really know about her other boyfriends or husbands. Jordan Peterson, definitely an aggressive intellectual, but ascendant conjunct Algol by 2 degrees, right? So definitely brings in the kind of leadership, head, quality, something very powerful, powerfully creative, but obviously in his own intellectual style, right? But very strong individual, strong character, sure. Picasso, one of the most creative, talented artists ever. Jupiter, conjunct Algol, 1 degree. Pluto's also pretty close by, but yeah, Jupiter. Jupiter ruling his fifth whole sign house, dispositing the moon and north node, and also ruling the eighth. So there's something very powerful about that, but he's got a whole Taurus stellium to back it up. But like very powerful creativity, especially because it's ruling the fifth and dispositing the moon. Trent Reznor, 9 Inch Nails. Um, well, definitely animalistic, you'd say that. Because he said so himself. Well, in so many words. I want to F you like an animal, right? Um, Sun conjunct Algol. But he's a leader of a band. He's very famous and makes music and fifth house, right? So yeah, very relevant. And I'm sure he's probably had his fair share of dealings with um, seduction, being seduced by women or drugs, alcohol, or other substances. I don't really know, but I imagine. Joe Rogan. Where is it? Ascendant conjunct Algol, right? I mean, he's got like the biggest podcast in the world. So obviously Algol is working for him. And this one's really tight. Carl Sagan, another one, right? Ascendant conjunct Algol, right? And huge career, scientific, but not really violent, not really I don't know if he was, I don't know what kind of vices he was dealing with, but maybe some, but I think a leader ahead of his field. Eric Satie, not a very well-known composer, but he makes beautiful, beautiful music. And Gymnopedies, I think it's called. Go listen to it. It's wonderful. Piano music. But anyway, Sun conjunct Algol by 2 degrees in the 11th, actually 10th whole sign house, but 11th quadrant. So career and groups, networks, and all that. Yeah, powerful creativity. Ben Shapiro, another very powerful intellect. He's got Sun and Chiron on the ascendant. I mean, sorry, Algol and Chiron on the ascendant. Algol is tight. I mean, ascendant is tight with Algol. Well, 1 degree. Let's a little less, but also Chiron's there. Wounded healer? No, I don't think so. Somebody who's very, very unique and different, and just an individual. Ben Shapiro. But yeah, he's very strong. I mean, look, his Mercury is in its own bounds, so that speaks to his intellect. Um, Nicole Simpson Brown, or Nicole Brown Simpson. What's really fascinating about her, and it's not fascinating in a good way, but okay, Sun 2 degrees from Algol. Obviously really afflicted. Look at all these red lines, right? Especially to our Sun. She was stabbed a bunch of times and her head was practically severed. Algol. Uh, yeah, really bad. Really, really bad. And yeah, It tracks perfectly. Um, let's see here. Sun's ruling the sixth house, dispositing Uranus. There's all these, square to Chiron, sesquisquare to the node, semisextile, south node, um, opposite Jupiter in Scorpio, retrograde, where Jupiter is the ascendant lord. Um, yeah, not at all good. I'm sure there's many more things that we could find. But yeah, just gonna move on for now. She perfectly fits the archetype of Algol. Vanessa Stone. Vanessa is not a well-known person, generally speaking, but she was my spiritual teacher, and she has South Node conjunct Algol. Remember, I Mercury conjunct Algol. She has South Node, so like we just knew each other right away. South Node Mercury conjunction, and communication was excellent between us. But anyway, a leader. She's a leader. She's a spiritual leader. She leads a spiritual community, a spiritual farm community in Hawaii, right? But she gives talks all over. Beautiful, wonderful woman. Nothing to do with violence. She did have health problems when she was younger, but yeah, um, certainly not anything negative into with her. It's highly creative, powerful, even spiritual quality because South Node, Algol, Moon, psychic, intuitive, kind of definitely. Those spiritual rays for a highly evolved person. Nikola Tesla. And it is Uranus. Yeah, obviously Uranus conjunct Algol, right? Uranus representing the electricity, Algol really allowing for that creative power to flow through that Uranus in the first house. So it's brilliant. I mean, he's got Pluto in the first and Uranus, right? Really exceptional. So Algol can really be like something, um, a real force to be reckoned with. If it's in the positive aspect, if it's used positively. I mean, he did have his negativities, right? He did things didn't work out for him in the end, at least seemingly on the surface, but definitely not violent. Uma Thurman, MC conjunct Algol, and really tightly, and like I think about the roles she plays, like Kill Bill, right, 1 and 2, and then wasn't she? She's also in like some other like crime. What was it? Um, I'm terrible, but shoot 'em up, bang bang, stuff. So yeah, violence. Emmett Till. Now this one's really sad. Um, Emmett Till was an African American boy who was abducted, tortured, and lynched in Mississippi in 1955 at the age of 14 after being accused of offending a white woman in her family's grocery store. The brutality of his murder and the acquittal of his killers drew attention to the long history of violent persecution of African Americans in the United States. He became an icon of the civil rights movement. Uh, where was it? Where is it? Sorry. Oh, wait a minute. Saturn. Yeah, sorry. I was getting confused here. But yeah, the two ticks, Saturn 26 and 25. So Saturn's 1 degree from Algol. And here's the really bad part. It's a night chart. Saturn is his most malefic planet, conjunct Algol. So, and it's also conjunct Uranus, something shocking or accidental, sudden, right? And it's square the ascendant, descendant, moon, Venus. Yeah, it's badly aspected. It's very, and it's in the fourth house. So at home, homeland, third quadrant, neighborhood. Oh, it's not very good, right? So that's too bad. That's really bad. That's awful. North nodes with Neptune in the eighth house. Donald Trump. Certainly a lot of controversy around this guy. But MC conjunct Algol. His career is very powerful. Nobody can deny that. People can't stop talking about him. Uh, yeah, like, yeah. I mean, he gets blamed for everything, but I mean, they're out to get him. But yeah, Algol, powerful, right? Powerful career, powerful um public image. I want to see what it's. I mean, just all right. Sid Vicious, he died. He died of drugs, right? Um, Incidentally, he's known for his violence as Mars in Cancer, but it's in Mars's bounds. So it's definitely like has some strength. And they say the bounds, if a planet's in the bound lore, it's in the bounds of its own sign, um, of its own domicile. It's in its own rulership and bound rulership, that it's as strong. Some people have said that it's as strong, it's as if it's in domicile. Right. So that's interesting. Um, what else? So Venus conjunct Algol, right? Would he die of heroin, right? Venus, so Venus is in Taurus, we think, oh, that's good. But no, it's in Saturn's bounds and it's conjunct Algol. He died of heroin. He was like a raging, drunk and alcohol, drug addict, heroin, right? And not only that, Venus, seventh house, what's her name? Nancy Spungen. She was a drug dealer. She was a heroin addict, right? Seventh house. So it definitely tracks with Sid Vicious in the negative sense. Highly violent. Mark Wahlberg. Um, Mercury. Mercury conjunct Algol. Venus is not too far away. Saturn's not too far away. Um, but yeah. Mercury's his 12th lord, dispositing his sun. Mm, third. Well, I see fourth. So. Anyway, um, yeah, very powerful expression. Conjunct Saturn, so it's a tough guy, tough expression, and Venus. So it's a combination. 11th house has popularity. So this one is my father, Sun conjunct Algol. Never had any dealings with violence. Um, but he was a leader. My father was a teacher, a community leader, 11th house, um, and a counselor. And he did a lot with his life, including started the first health food store in Philadelphia. But so yeah, just general creativity, right? Sun conjunct Algol in the 11th house, as far as like the community. He was like the leader of the health food community in Philadelphia. Taurus, natural foods, right? Joe Waxman, this guy. I don't know about this guy. Beware of this guy. He's got his Mercury conjunct Algol in the seventh house, and I hear he likes to talk about a lot of stuff that I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth. I'm just kidding. Of course, it's worth it. Anyway, um, it's funny talking about myself, but yeah, my Mercury is conjunct Algol, and then so yeah, my Mercury was conjunct my father's sun, and his sun was, um, my sun was conjunct his Mercury, so we understood each other really well. But anyway, make of that what you will. My Mercury is in the seventh house, conjunct Algol, dispositing my sun, Venus, and moon. And Prince William. And yeah, Prince William has his Venus conjunct Algol in the sixth whole sign house, fifth quadrant. Right. Venus is a significator of women. It's also conjunct Chiron, right? Which is really interesting. Chiron, well, a couple ways you could look at that. One, we know that I think it's his wife is Kate Middleton, right? Anyway, we know that she just was recently diagnosed with cancer, but at the same time, Chiron often shows up with really, really unique individuals, right? Not just cancer, not just sick people, right? Not just wounded people, not just rejected people. Just very unique people. So Kate Middleton, I guess, like him being a prince, that kind of makes sense. Um, Venus ruling the IC and the um this is the 11th whole sign house, but it's ninth quadrant, so kind of interesting. He actually has his MC in the 12th whole sign house. So he's dealing with a lot of secrets and foreign things, hidden things, especially because it's Scorpio. Right? So we probably don't really know what he's up to. Um, this is significant, but anyway, I don't want to get too far into it. He, yeah, I mean, this feels very, uh, it's in conjunct Neptune and the ascendant pretty much. He probably loves to have a lot of fun here with Venus in Taurus, like very indulgent, right? Especially with Algol, he probably has his vices, very unusual vices. Anyway, those are all the charts. Went through them all, right? Um, yeah, so that's Algol. So let me summarize it for you. Um, Algol seems to be all over the place. It can produce extremely good results and extremely horrible, like dangerous, violent, early death, violence from the person or to the person, both, right? Um, Seduction, vice issues like drugs, alcohol, sex, violence, all that seems to be associated with it. Um, the idea of having discernment, being able to decide and choose your poison, if you will, or choose your indulgences, making better choices, right? Because of the mythology, the sort of discernment, having good discernment. That's how you defeat Medusa's pull, which she wants to turn you to stone, which is sort of like, the either the violence or the being seduced by drugs and alcohol and vices or women or things like that, where you just lose all your energy, you become dead inside. Basically, you're turned to stone. So yeah, there's all those elements. Plus the when it's behaving well, we could say probably when it's bright, when the dual stars are separate. Um, there's incredible creative energy for leadership, for creativity, for pursuing whatever planet is conjunctive or represented by it. It creates leaders, it creates heads of organizations, both good and bad, right? So bottom line, I don't think we should be afraid of Algol. We should learn to use it properly, right? Like once Perseus cuts off Medusa's head, now he has a tool, a weapon that he can use to defeat other monsters or, fuse to a shield and defend against evil. I mean, I personally I identify with that. Like, I feel like I'm protected. I feel like, and I don't want to get too, I don't want to challenge anyone to like, cast a spell on me, hurt me, or anything like that. But I just feel like I don't think I feel like I'm protected as long as I make good choices, like, right? Because it's my Mercury, it's my sword, it's my discernment. So I have to choose wisely. But and if I make bad choices, I could be my own, cause my own violent destruction, right? Um, but if I make good choices, then I can tap into the very powerful creativity that is fueling my intellect, my expression, my Mercury. So yeah. And I feel like when I get destructive, I can probably tap into the more violent side of Algol, and get really aggressive. I've been known to do that, but there's probably other backup, things that support that, my Mars and Scorpio and other things. But yeah, I feel like that's probably somewhat of an issue there as well. But thinking about the other people I know who have this, my father was never violent, but he did have his vices. I don't want to be too, ex um, expose him. Anyway, Micho as well. My father drank, but I used to smoke a lot. I used to drink a lot. I find I can't even do it. My body won't even let me anymore. But I definitely have those desires to, consume and be, be seduced by different things. It's definitely there, right? So there's that strong desirous quality, but definitely creativity, heads of organizations, very powerful people can have a strong um Algol in their chart, or aspected, planets conjuncted, depending on what. But you saw it yourself with all the different charts, many different examples, both good and bad, right? So anyway, that's Algol. So I don't think we need to be afraid of it, but just, if you see it prominent in a chart, see what's conjuncted. If it's the sect Malefic conjunct Algol, maybe then you should worry, right? Or if it's badly aspected in some other way, maybe, right? But anyway, guys, that's it for now. That is fixed star Algol, the demon star, the most malefic star in the whole sky, which is a personal, personal to me, because I got the dispositor of my moon and sun and Venus conjunct it. But anyway, um, that's it for now, guys. Please hit that like button if you can. Just subscribe if you haven't already. Book a reading with me, macrogoldmachine@yahoo.com. I still need the support, so help me out if you can. And leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Mediocre astrologist signing off. Meh, he's okay. I hope you guys are okay. And laugh it off. Take a victory laugh. Win before you win. I'll see you again soon. So, all right. That's it. Thanks. Bye.